Let me start today's sermon by offering you some words of wisdom. Just a few simple things that if you listen to could make your life a whole lot easier. And I'm betting that you've probably heard all of them before, but let them really sink in this time, okay? Good advice. Good advice number one, keep your eyes on the road. Don't stand under a tree in a rainstorm. Don't mess with Dad when he's in a mood. Always double check your measurements. Please make sure you bring enough to share with everyone.
Hey Oscar, this french fries for you. Oh, get him, hurry up. French fries. No!
And finally, if you see this bull, run. Just following any one of these rules could make your life better. Following the last one, that could save your life, to be honest with you. And that's some good advice there. What makes advice good advice? What makes the best advice the best advice? Did you ever think about that? Well, personally, I think it has to do with just how much of a benefit someone receives as a direct result of that particular advice. Sometimes the benefits that we receive from advice are immediate and very easy to be seen. Like if someone told you, don't stand there, and then you moved, and right after you moved, a piano fell and landed right where you were standing, the value of that advice could be felt immediately. Why did a piano fall, you might ask? I don't know. It happens sometimes.
2, 1.
See? Yes, you don't want to be under that. So you can immediately understand that was probably the best advice you had ever received, or at least felt that way because it had an immediate payout. Other advice, it's not quite as apparent in its benefits because instead of being experienced all at once, it's spread out over a lifetime. And instead of being one big moment, there are many smaller moments, which when they're combined can make more of a difference in one's life than we could ever hope to grasp. You know, the Bible is so full of those tidbits of wisdom, those small pieces of advice that could truly make a difference. And one of my favorite tidbits, one of my favorite pieces of advice in the Bible comes from Jesus' most famous sermon. That'd be the Sermon on the Mount. And within the Sermon on the Mount, there is probably the most famous section of that, which is the section known as the Beatitudes. These are Jesus' descriptions of what our attitudes should be. And this section can be found in a couple of different places, but we're going to look at it in Matthew chapter 5, and listen to what Jesus says our attitudes should be. Matthew chapter 5, starting at verse 3.
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
That's a pretty good list. That is a pretty good list to pursue. And of course, all of these attitudes would be wonderful attitudes to have, but there's one of them that jumps out at me, and one of them that has really been speaking to me lately. And that's the one that's found in verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are the peacemakers. What is Jesus talking about when he mentions a peacemaker? What is he really referring to? Well, when I think about peace and I think about commands in Scripture, it reminds me of another verse in Scripture, Romans 12:18. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. You see, now I get that one. That one seems a little bit easier to understand. Live at peace with everybody. I can understand what it's asking me to do. It doesn't mean that that's always the easiest thing to do, does it? I mean, it really seems these days that everyone out there is looking for a fight. Like, they really do want you to fight with them. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. And when I say everything, I mean everything. Everyone will fight over everything. In this next clip, these two people are fighting over whether it is sprinkling outside or raining. And I'm going to warn you before I start it. This is one of the most violent clips I have ever seen. Take a watch.
Ow! My mommy said it's say sorry to the sprinkling. My mom told me it was sprinkling. My mom is not. It's my mommy. It's sprinkling outside, Macy. My mommy said raining. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, you're pretty. And you're not real. I'm real. Watch. We're going to go out there and see. I'm not going to see anymore. Watch is not going to see. Watch. We're going to go out there and watch. It was just raining. Because it's raining. No, it's not. It is rain. It is raining. Ow. It is raining. Little Clay, it's raining. You broke my heart. Little Clay. You broke my heart. Turn around and then I'm gonna get honey. And me and her can do that, okay? Yeah. You broke my heart.
Oh, wow. Wow. She poked his heart. She poked his heart, all because she disagreed with his weather forecast. That's not quite living at peace, now is it? What does living at peace mean? Well, it means not starting any fights and not joining into any fights. It means not repaying evil for evil. It means not paying back wrong for wrong. When I think about paying back wrong for wrong, I do think that it's something that we all tend to do, isn't it? And I know I've told you this before, but when I think about wrong for wrong, I think about my driving sometimes. I do. Have you ever been on the highway in the left lane, kind of like a long line of traffic that's all trying to get around a slower truck on the right? And you're driving along, waiting your turn, leaving a little room so you don't run into the guy in front of you. When you notice in your mirror, somebody 3 cars back zooming over into the right lane, and you know they're going to gun it as hard as they can to fly up and then cut you off right in front of you so that they can move 3 spaces up in line. I know this happens to everybody. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not proud of this, but more times than not, I hit the gas and I zoom up to the car in front of me, so there's no space for them to squeeze in between me and the car in front of me. And when they see that they can't get through in front of me, then they try to squeeze in behind me, and then they ride as close as they possibly can to my bumper. And as I pull up to the truck that I was passing, I'm going to be honest with you again. Sometimes I may slow down to the exact same speed of the truck that I'm passing so that it takes an extra long time to pass. And depending on what kind of mood I started in, I'm going to be honest with you once again. It may take me a little bit longer to get back over into the right lane after I get past this truck so that the car can zoom down the road. You know, and let me be honest one more time. I just might occasionally wait to get over into the right lane until I see them starting to move over into the right lane in an attempt to pass me on the right again. I'm not proud. I'm not proud that I do that. But I'm also not going to lie. When I do this sort of thing, it does sometimes bring me a sense of enjoyment. But you know what it doesn't bring me? It doesn't bring me peace. It doesn't bring me, and it also doesn't bring peace into the life of the person who is trying to pass me. And we're supposed to live at peace. That's what the scripture says. Try to live at peace with everyone. Why then do I still occasionally start arguments with my spouse? Why do I frustrate my children? Why do I engage with someone on Facebook? Why do I honk at a stranger? Why do I yell at someone on the telephone? You know, we've got to try a little bit better to be living at peace. But what if I told you that that was only half of the story? You see, the first verse that we read didn't tell us to live at peace. Instead, what did it tell us to be? It told us to be peacemakers. Not just to live at peace, but to make peace. What's the difference between the two? Well, people that live at peace try to be peaceful themselves. People that are peacemakers, they try to take it a step further by not just trying to live at peace themselves, but trying to bring peace into the lives of all of those around them. See, peacemakers aren't just about finding their own personal peace, but they're all about helping others find their peace as well. And just keeping your nose out of things, that doesn't actually promote peace. It just prevents your own personal involvement. In James 3:6, James says this, "The tongue is also a fire, a world of wickedness among the parts of the body. It pollutes the whole person, sets the course of his life on fire, and is itself set on fire by hell." You see, folks, in life, our mouths have the ability to light things on fire. One little word, one little sentence has the ability to cause a spark which brings anything but peace to our lives. This is where most of our tumultuous situations are found. They're found in situations which are brought about by our own tongues, by our words. And it seems like nowadays, everybody is ready and willing to start an argument, or argue back if someone starts one with them, or even jump into someone else's argument that they weren't involved in or have no stake in the first place. We will argue over everything and anything. We'll even argue over the stupidest things sometimes, which then cause a very, very strong lack of peace in our lives. For example, I saw this picture of a news story one time. A cheeseburger stabbing? You've got to be kidding me. And what exactly does that mean? A cheeseburger stabbing? Someone stabbed someone else over a cheeseburger? Someone stabbed someone else with a cheeseburger? Someone stabbed a cheeseburger? A cheeseburger stabbed someone? A cheeseburger stabbed another cheeseburger? I don't know exactly what this story is saying, but I do know, regardless of which one it was, it probably was completely and totally unnecessary and not a life of peace. And I am sure that it was started by someone's tongue, because our tongues can start fires which very quickly can lead to nowhere good. So people who want to live at peace, well, they watch what they say because they don't want to start a fire. Peacemakers, however, they take it one step further. Peacemakers, they bring water to a fire. Proverbs 10:11, "The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence." You see, peacemakers, they see conflict happening, or a conflict about to happen, and they will do everything that they can to put that fire out before it gets too big. If the world was full of peacemakers, there would be so much water that fires would never have the chance to spread and ruin so many lives as they do today. The problem is that most people aren't peacemakers. Most people don't try to put the fire out, but instead they throw a little bit of gasoline onto it, don't they? Proverbs 26, 21, and 22. If you don't have wood, your fire goes out. And if you don't talk about others, arguing dies down. Coal glows and wood burns, and a person who argues stirs up conflict. If you don't have wood, if you don't have gasoline, your fire will go out. But most people aren't throwing water on a fire, are they? They're throwing out the gasoline. Most people aren't peacemakers. Instead, they are fire spreaders. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about whether or not you are a peacemaker or a fire spreader? What are you carrying around with you on a daily basis? Is it a can of gas or is it a can of water? How do you know which one you are? Well, listen, fire spreaders, they will often pick sides in an argument. Fire spreaders will encourage people to be upset. Fire spreaders will share secrets about bad things. Fire spreaders will jump into someone else's argument. Fire spreaders will wait for someone to say something dumb and then jump all over it. Fire spreaders are constantly finding faults in others. Fire spreaders, they sometimes hide behind the phrase, "I just call it like I see it." Fire spreaders toss gasoline, and they tend to escalate things to the next level. If you find that the discussions that you are involved in always help you get heated or get someone else heated, then you're throwing gasoline. Peacemakers, they're completely different. Peacemakers try not to pick sides. Peacemakers try to calm others down when they are upset. Peacemakers will never share things that were said in confidence. Peacemakers will only enter others' arguments with the goal of calming it down. Peacemakers, they don't offend easily. Peacemakers toss water to put out the fires. Their goal is to make peace, to bring peace into people's lives, not just their own, but all of those around them. So let me ask you, what are you carrying? Are you hauling around water with you? Or are you hauling around gasoline? Or maybe you're just not carrying anything. I do find that a lot of times that's a situation that we find ourselves in. Maybe you have decided that it's just best to stay out of the middle of things and never to get involved. But folks, that's not peacemaking either. That's idly standing by and watching things burn. If you keep your mouth shut when someone is complaining, you're not a peacemaker. If you stand by when two people are needlessly arguing, you're not a peacemaker. If you think, good for you, when someone gets what they deserve, you are not a peacemaker. If you see friends having a Facebook argument and you don't do anything to help, you are not a peacemaker. Folks, keeping our mouths shut is not enough. Using water to put out fires, that's what God asks us to do. So which are you? Do you start the fires? Do you watch the fires? Do you feed the fires? Or do you put them out? Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons and daughters of God. Time to fill up our buckets and start putting out some fires. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. God bless and hope to see you soon.